What's up, family? I'm Kerwin D, and this is Verity, where truth and conversation converge. And I'm hanging out with my main man, actor, director, Clark Atlanta University Theater Professor Eric J. Little's in the house. Eric J., how you doing, brother?
What's up, man? Always good to see you, brother. I'm good. How are you?
It's good to see you, man, because, and I know you always try to give me a couple props in here, but you are one of the most consistent. I mean that, one of the most consistent people I know.
Oh, man.
You don't wake. I don't think I've ever seen you on the wrong side of the bed or the right side. I just see you straight down the middle. So I don't know. Let's start there, man. How do you just maintain that equilibrium all the time, seemingly?
You know what? The funny thing is, I would ask you the same thing because I think you are probably more consistent than I am. If you talk to my students, they might differ. But I would say, you know what it is, seriously, and I think this is where you and I can agree. Number one, God, and just that love of God, and just remembering to be thankful and grateful. Um, and I always remember, I think my father or my mom would say sometimes you look down the street, somebody can always have it worse than you have.
Mhm.
So just remembering to be thankful and,
Mhm.
every day trying to be.
Yeah. Well, you are definitely that. So, what I typically do is just kind of let folk know, man, who may not be familiar with you or your work, just give them a little background intro. As I mentioned before, you're an actor, director, Clark Atlanta University theater professor, and you've worked and directed at the Theatrical Outfit, Actors Express, Kenny Leon's True Color Theater Company, Aurora Theater, Horizon Theater, Alliance Theater. I mean, the credits and the work goes. I mean, your body of work, really, man, on stage and behind the scenes, really is incredible. So I want to give you some kudos for that because I've
Thank you,
seen
brother.
you. I've been to your productions. I've seen you on stage and I've seen you behind the scenes. Let's start on stage. What's your approach to a character? You get a character. What is your approach to playing and getting inside the head of this character? So you're no longer Eric J. You're
I think number one, letting the character speak to you. So read the script. What do you feel? What do you see? What do you feel? What is the playwright crafted? And how do you connect to it? What's your entry point? I think once you do that, um, I love when Kenny Leon has this phrase where he says, "Don't make it happen, let it happen." I think once you do that and allow yourself to connect to that, it's amazing. So number one, just you read the script a million times. I ask myself a lot of questions and see where I connect. You see what the character wants. You see what the playwright says. You see what other characters say about your character. You see what you feel about the character. I love what's there, but also I look at what's not there or what's implied and what can you use your imagination on. So that's my main thing is just read. If there's some research, do the research, and then experiment and go for it, and then see what happens in rehearsal, and you'll go from there.
So your approach to how you approach a character, getting into a character. Let's just say, for example, you are looking at, or you're at the actual selection process to put together the actors for a show. Are
Yes,
you kind of doing that? Do you approach that differently than you would the character that you would be playing, or how do you approach that?
I think it's just it's very similar but different versus being an actor and a director. My approach is similar, but the difference is when you're approaching it as an actor, you look at the whole story, but you're mainly focused on your character's individual journey. When you look at it from a directorial standpoint, you're looking at the entire story plus the individual stories. So when I'm approaching it, number one, before we even get to casting, it's like, do I have a complete understanding of what this story is? What's the story? What's it about? What's the message? What are the themes?
Mhm,
What is this playwright saying with this story?
mhm, mhm,
Okay. Then what do you need? what do you need from this character, and what actor can bring you that, you know? And I think that's, once you have those things in mind, then of course you go into the auditions and you're ready. And the same thing when it's like, let the character speak to you, let the actor speak. There are times, like I give an example, when I was casting a show a couple of years ago, and this brother, I saw him before I saw him audition in the room. I saw him outside. I had gone to the restroom and I spoke to him. The thing is, I had seen him out and about. I never knew he was an actor, or if I did, I had forgotten. And I was like, and I thought about it, I was like, I know he was an actor. Okay, but I knew what I needed for the role. And of course, I gave them this big monologue. And he came in and blew me away. I was like I literally, I was like, whoa. And so for me, everything that I thought that I needed and wanted for the role, he got. And it was, so that time casting was easy. It was like he was the one to beat, you know.
And that was different maybe than what you had in your mind, what you were approaching it at. He brought something different, or did he bring what you were looking for?
I think he brought both. He brought, and that to me is a fabulous actor. He brought what I was looking for, and then he brought what I didn't even know I needed.
Wow.
You know, is it like, whoa, that's something totally different, you know, or I didn't think about that. And I think that to me, you know how some people especially get a little weird and a little uncomfortable. Some directors can get uncomfortable if the actors are too smart. But a good director, you want.
Now, what do you mean? Now, what do you mean too smart?
Well, I'll say this. Sometimes there could be, and I've been blessed to not necessarily have this situation, but I've seen it, where there's some friction between actor and director. And between who's the smartest or who knows best how to approach the character.
So he's not an actor, she's not an actor, she's an actor director. You the director.
Well, okay. So then it is funny you say that, because some people say, when a director, do you want an actor's director? Which means if you are an actor's director, that means you're there to serve the actors and not serve your ego.
Okay.
And so I think on both sides of this, as an actor and as a director, you try to approach it where you come in prepared, but also respecting that you're working with another individual. As an actor, you're working with a director who has a vision, but you're also feeling it. As a director, you're working with an actor who also, the director, you're seeing it. The actor, they're feeling it. So you have to be mindful of that and not try to put things on them that may not fit what they're feeling. And at the same time, try to get your vision across. So it's a fine line you have to work to get where you need to go. And I think, so going back to why I say you want, or for me as a director, why you want smart actors, because smart actors think of things that even the best directors don't think of. They bring that to the process, and that's what we want.
Now you had an opportunity to work with the world-renowned Kenny Leon. So how much of what you're talking about did you have an opportunity to study up under him and come away with some of these tools in your tool belt?
I would definitely say it's been an amazing blessing to get a chance to work with him. He's directed me as an actor, I think 3 times.
Okay.
Really more than that, because we did a couple of readings too. But three different plays. He's directed me. And then he actually gave me my first professional directorial job, at a major theater. Kenny was the first one to give me that opportunity. And then, so to learn, and I've assistant directed him. So I've had a nice amount of time to work under him, and it's been a beautiful experience. He has a gift of knowing how to bring people together and to galvanize people and to bring the spirit into the room. He has this way of doing, and certain things that I do. I don't do everything, but every time, but something that he does that I do sometimes where you like bring a circle in either at the beginning of rehearsal or the end of rehearsal. He would do that a lot and just keeping everybody together. And it's one of the things that I always love. But and he knows what if he likes it, he likes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't, and he gonna let you know it. And that, that's one of those things. So he's I learned a lot from him. And then another great source that you would know, another person who's in our building you will see all the time, and that's Gary Yates, Professor Yates.
Yeah.
These two men, Kenny Leon, Gary Yates.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am without either one of them. And Gary Yates, I learned so much from him as he's directed me. Then, I'm at Clark Atlanta because of Gary Yates and directing there and all these other opportunities.
Yeah.
He directed me out there.
Yeah.
Learned so much from him just as well about how to look at characters, how to look at the work, how to direct, things Kenny taught me about directing when I was directing there, and he came in and saw and gave me just a little nugget. Sometimes with both Gary and Kenny, they gave me, like people said, sometimes it can just be a seed, but that little seed that they both have given me taught me so much from it. Like I got so much from both of them. Yeah.
And what's interesting, both are nice guys. I've had an opportunity to sit down with Kenny and we broke meal, and it was just the nicest guy, just candid as you want to be. I remember reading The Measure of a Man. Now that's one of my favorite all-time actors,
Sidney Poitier.
And I remember reading where he said he was really struggling. Matter of fact, he wasn't even in acting yet. He was trying to get into it. And he got a role. He was approached with a role, an opportunity, but it was a role that he said that he refused because he said, I can't play this because my father would not be proud of me. That spoke volumes. Not, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, what's missing, you look for what's there, but also what's not there. The fact that he turned it down said and spoke volumes. And you can see in terms of his level of performance, consistency, and the quality of what he did, it is incredible.
I think it felt like you and I have talked about this before, because I remember I read the same thing where I think it was when he was working at a restaurant or he owned a restaurant or something in New York. And he said he would rather go back to the restaurant and work than do this role.
Than do that role. How about that?
And I love that because I'm like you. I think sometimes, and especially in today's world, and not everybody, but I think there are times where everybody wants to, succeed and progress and get to that next level, but leave their integrity behind. And I think with Sidney, Mr. Poitier, the fact that he was just like, no, I'm still, I want to succeed. I want to do great work, but I want to have integrity with my work. And so I learned from that same thing. And I try to live by that too. There are times you look at stuff and you're like, maybe should I have done that, or should I do this and all this? And sometimes you get and it's fear sometimes, because it takes a lot of courage and bravery to do that. And I can honestly say I've not always done that.
Wait a minute now. He was struggling he was struggling. He wasn't even in that. Here's an opportunity for him, but he wouldn't do it. It wasn't even a question. He didn't even debate it. I can't do it.
He wouldn't do it. And so I learned from that, and I try to do that same thing.
Incredible.
I've gotten better at it because I remember I turned down a position. It wasn't like the show was bad, but at least, because sometimes you go like, for me, it's like, are you connected to it? And there was a show that I was truly not connected to. And even now, as I'm still growing as a director, I don't usually want to say no to a lot of jobs. But at this particular time, I just said, I read the show and I just said, this is not for me. And I felt good to me. I was like, no, you can say no.
Yeah. And you know what? I had some questions about that, but man, the clock says, man, we are out of time. That's just how the conversation rolls. It went quick, but I want to thank you, actor, director, Clark Atlanta University Theater Professor, and my main man, Eric J. We thank you so much, Professor Little, for spending some time with us here on Verity. Come back and share some more of your thoughts, all right?
Hey man, have me back, man. Always appreciate you, and please have me back. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. I know I talk a
No,
lot, so we probably
no, we
didn't get
kicked it, man,
everything
and that's what we want to do. The folk want to hear you, not me. So
in.
we'll have
Appreciate
you
it.
back, and my family. Make sure you check us out. Always got an interesting guest. Always got somebody interesting to talk to. Verity, where truth and conversation converge, right here on the Leaning Network. Check us out next time. Your main man, Kerwin D. Peace.